The internet has officially run out of words. We have asset stripped the English language to a point where words don't even mean things anymore. They're just vibes. And today, my target, my absolute breaking point, is the word LARP. If you have spent more than 5 minutes on TikTok recently, you've seen it. Someone posted a video saying they like indie rock, and the top comment is stop LARPing. I need everyone to take a deep breath because today we are going to learn what LARP actually means, how TikTok absolutely butchered it, and why. But it's just a TikTok definition, is a phrase that makes me want to launch myself into the sun. Let's jump into it. For context, for the uninitiated or anyone born after 2008, LARP is an acronym. It stands for LARP, Live Action Roleplay. And let's be entirely real, traditionally, it is the highest tier of nerd roleplay available to mankind. We are talking about dressing up in full hand-stitched leather armor, going into a state park on a Saturday morning, and pretending to be an elven rogue named Thromgar, who is fighting a guy named Kevin, who works at 7-Eleven and is pretending to be a goblin. It started decades ago as an offshoot of Dungeons and Dragons. People decided that sitting at a table rolling dice wasn't enough. They wanted to physically embody the books like Lord of the Rings or old fantasy movies. It requires commitment. It requires a massive amount of imagination, and honestly, it requires lack of self-awareness that I actually kind of respect. If you are LARPing, you know you are playing the game. You and Kevin the Goblin have a mutual agreement that for the next 3 hours, that foam sword does 50 points of damage. It's theater without a stage. But then TikTok discovered the word. And much like what TikTok did to the words gaslighting, POV, and narcissist, it took LARP, threw it in a blender, and turned it into a weaponized insult for literally anybody they don't like. Right now on the app, LARPing is used to mean you are pretending to like something that you don't actually like for the attention of others. Let me give you an example. Say a guy or girl post a video of her vinyl collection, vinyl, who gives a fuck? She's got a rare Radiohead press. Instantly, some guy in the comments whose profile picture is an anime girl will say, nice LARP. Right. Hold on. Is she dressed as a elf? Is she in the forest throwing foam records at a goblin? No. She's just standing in her room. TikTok has conflated LARPing with being a poser. Remember poser? Most used word back in like early 2000s. It perfectly describes someone who brought a skateboard just to carry it around but didn't know how to do an ollie. But apparently poser is too old. So now everything is a LARP. Walk with me. What TikTok thinks LARP means: wearing a Carhartt jacket, working a desk job, listening to a niche band to look cool. What LARP actually means: getting hit in the shins with a PVC pipe wrapped in pool noodles, spending 400 to maybe 1,000 on a custom wizard robe, and sleeping in a tent. Do you see the difference? One is a harmless subculture of people living their best fantasy lives. The other is just someone lying on the internet. And newsflash, people have been lying on the internet since the invention of the dial-up modem. You didn't invent a new phenomenon. You just stole a word from a tabletop gaming community because it sounds punchy in a comment section. Now this brings me to my origin story. Whenever you point out to someone in the comments, whenever you say, that's not what that word means, you get the exact same response every single time. Bro, I need us to collectively, as a generation, stop letting TikTok change the literal dictionary just because a bunch of people didn't feel like Googling a word before they typed it. It's the TikTok definition. Is just a fancy way of saying I am confidently incorrect, and because a million other teenagers are also confidently incorrect, it makes me right. That is not how language works. If I start calling a banana glip glop, and I get 10 of my friends to call it glip glop, that doesn't mean the culinary world has to adjust. A grocery store worker is still going to look at me like I need a psychiatrist. And the worst part, the TikTok definition always strips away the nuance. Take the word POV. POV means point of view. It means the camera is in the eyes of the character. But on TikTok, a video will say POV You're ordering a coffee and the camera is literally staring directly at the person ordering the coffee. That's just a regular video. That is a third person perspective. You're just filming yourself. Look, I know some of you are thinking it's just saying you're being corny, let people talk how they want, blah, blah, blah. First off, I'm 20, nigga. I'm not that old. My joints barely even pop yet. Second of all, I fuck with slang. When it creates new ways to express things, but when you take an existing word with a highly specific, hilarious history like LARP and you flatten it down to just mean you're a fake, we actually lose something. We lose the ability to describe the actual beautiful weirdness of real LARPing. And more importantly, it just breeds the culture of hyper suspicion online. Because now if you aren't a literal certified expert in a hobby, you're LARPing. If you start learning how to cook and post a recipe, you're LARPing as a chef. If you post your favorite song, you're LARPing as a fan. It just doesn't make sense. It's gatekeeping wrapped in a stolen acronym. It forces everyone to stay in their exact lane because God forbid you try something new and get accused of live action role playing a nerd or a hobbyist. Here's my final plea to the internet. Next time you see someone trying a bit too hard to look cool or portraying an aesthetic that feels a little manufactured, just call them a poser. Just call them a poser. We don't gotta keep things back in the old times, or it's okay. Just call them what they are. A fake, a phony, if you will, something. And let's leave LARP to the nerds who are currently in a public park, sweating in a medieval tunic, fighting for the honor of a fictional kingdom. They earned that. I don't even know if people do that anymore, but still. But what do I know? I'm just complaining. So who cares? But if you like this video, comment, like, subscribe, all that. Turn the bell on and listen to me complain in another video. Thank you.